رسالت نعره رسالت نعره حیدری نعره حیدری شنودی امام زمان بآواز بلند صلوات اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات اللهم صل علی محمد و آل محمد
ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب قدمه الفداء ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم ملعونين أما بعد for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the shuhada, ulama and siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahlul Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam, Arawun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. We've been looking at the characteristics of the prophets of God within the Holy Quran. And yesterday we completed looking at Hazrat Dhul Kifl. Today I want to look at a prophet whom has been mentioned, or two prophets, one of whom has been mentioned over 7 times in the Holy Quran by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. An individual who is the descendant of Musa and comes as a prophet in the region of Palestine, and that is Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam. Zakaria alayhi salam, even the name Zakaria comes from the one that does constant worship of Allah, constant dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you know that Hazrat Zakaria was entrusted with the care of Hazrat Maryam. Hazrat Maryam was the daughter of the sister, she was the niece of the wife of Hazrat Zakaria, his wife's sister's daughter. The daughter or the sister had done another, that if I am given a child, in her mind was that of a boy, but if I'm given a child, I will place this child in Baytul Maqdis to be a servant of the house there. Anyway, Maryam alayhi salam is born, and so they say, well, nonetheless we did another. So Maryam alayhi salam is placed in the service of Baytul Maqdis. And Zakaria alayhi salam, because he was already the head of that area, she was placed in his trust. And so every day he would come and he would visit her and he would go to bring her food. But he began to notice things about this young lady that were beyond the norm. Whenever he would take her food, there would always be food there next to her mihrab. And not just normal food. Imam Baqir says that Maryam would receive the fruits of winter in summer and the fruits of summer in winter. Right now, that's entirely possible because of the way the world is. Back then, that was unheard of. And so every time he would ask her, she would always say, this is from my Lord. This comes from my Lord. And so here, Zakaria alayhi salam prays. He says, Ya Allah, you know what? I wish I too could have a son, a child. Now this is Zakaria alayhi salam is like 90 plus at this point. Saying, I wish I could have it. Seeing the way Maryam is, I too want a child. That's one narration. Another narration is that when Zakaria alayhi salam was taught by Allah the names that Adam used for asking for forgiveness, and this narration is in Khasa'is as well, that when he asked Allah, can I use the names that Adam used to ask for forgiveness from you? And Allah taught him the names. And when he reaches the name of Sayyid al-Shuhada, he says, Ya Allah, I don't know what it is that this name of Hussein makes me sad. All the other names I read and I'm fine, but when I say the name of Hussein, my heart sinks. What is the reason for this? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then, as per the narrations, reveals Kaf, Ha, Ya, Ayn, Sad to him and tells him about the whole story of Karbala. And at this point, Zakaria alayhi salam says to Allah, says, Ya Allah, I wish you would give me a son as well. A son who I could lose in the way that the Prophet, the final Prophet, will lose his grandson Hussein, and so that I can feel that pain of the last Prophet. And so this, in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala highlights it beautifully in how it is that Zakaria alayhi salam is asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِذْ نَادَى رَبُّهُ نِدَاءً خَفِيًّا. Says Zakaria went into this state of munajat, and this itself is a lesson on how it is that we need to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Zakaria went into seclusion. How is it that, you know, it's good we have communal dua and all of this. This is very good. And it has its place. But there is also a place for munajat and private prayer that you need to make time for. It is not enough that you just come and then sit with everyone and recite dua Khomeini. Just come with everyone and recite dua Iftitah. There has to be a time for your own private munajat with Allah. And so Zakaria alayhi salam all this time has wanted a child. At 95, he does something different. إِذْ نَادَى رَبُّهُ نِدَاءً خَفِيًّا. Calls out to his Lord in solitude. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, oh Zakaria, we will bless you with a son. A son who we have named. A name that no one will ever have had before him. And his name will be Yahya. And so Zakaria alayhi salam is blessed with a son, Hazrat Yahya. And Hazrat Yahya has one characteristic that stands out amongst all the others. And we'll come to the ones that the Quran says, but according to narrations, Yahya alayhi salam was absolutely gripped by the fear of Yawm al-Qiyamah. Zakaria alayhi salam was a very good orator. And whenever he would sit on the minbar to talk to the people, he would make sure that Yahya was not in the crowd. Because if he was, then he would talk about heaven and all of the blessings of Allah. Because at any point, if he mentioned hell and the adhab of Allah, at times Yahya alayhi salam would run out into the desert and be lost for days out of the fear, just hearing about the adhab of hell. So Yahya alayhi salam comes, is married, he begins to grow. Now there's narrations in regards to how Yahya alayhi salam was killed, and both father and son are killed in a short time frame, one after the other. But as per the dua of Zakaria, Yahya alayhi salam is killed before. The king wants to marry his sister's daughter. Yeah? And according to Sharia, this is haram. And so Yahya alayhi salam was saying, no, this is not allowed. The king now wanted this to happen. The girl whom he wanted to marry, his sister's daughter, is saying that I will only marry you if you bring me the head of Yahya Nabi. So he says, fine. So he goes, he finds Yahya alayhi salam, severs the head of Yahya, places it on a golden tray and presents it to her. What happens there is that the droplets of the blood of Yahya alayhi salam begin to fall on the ground. And where they fell, the ground began to boil. The blood began to boil. And so the king began covering this boiling blood with earth, but it carried on flowing out. They covered it so much that it became almost like a small mountain of earth to try and hide this bubbling blood. And so this king, he hid it like this, and this man was there. Some years later, another king of the Israelites came, Nebuchadnezzar, around 630 BC. He comes in and he asks the story, because this mountain is still continually bubbling and people are still continually putting earth on top of it. So he asks, says, what happened here? Why does this thing? And they told him, look, there was a king before you a few generations ago. He killed a prophet of God. And the droplets of his blood fell in this place and they continue to bubble until this day. Nebuchadnezzar, he vows that he will kill everyone that was involved in the act of killing Yahya in order to stop this from flowing. So he finds that tribe of Bani Israel and he slaughters them. Every single last one of them. Tens of thousands of them, he slaughters them mercilessly and leaves their bodies on the ground. And this is where the story of Uzair alayhi salam comes, where it says that Uzair came to a place where he saw that there were bodies scattered all over the place, thousands of them. And then he asks Allah that, will you raise these people? And then the whole story of Uzair alayhi salam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kills him and then asks him, how long were you dead for? How long did you sleep for? He says, just an hour or two. He says, you've been dead for over a century or so. So this all originates, that whole story of Nabi Uzair, everything is connected to this story of Yahya Nabi. So this is how Hazrat Yahya died. Zakaria alayhi salam, they begin to chase him as well. Zakaria alayhi salam hides inside a tree. And they begin to cut the tree from the outside. As they cut the tree, they also cut Zakaria alayhi salam in half. And this is how Hazrat Zakaria is made or attains his shahadat. So both these father and son. And actually, before I go on to that, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he mentions Hazrat Yahya a lot. And there's a lot of similarities between Hazrat Yahya and Imam Hussein. And in the journey to Karbala, Imam Hussein is constantly making reference to Yahya alayhi salam. The similarities between them in terms of their pregnancy time. Both of them, their time of pregnancy was 6 months. Both of these individuals received their names from Allah, Yahya and Imam Hussein. Both of them, their names came directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi Yahya knew about Imam Hussein's calamity and would cry over it, and Imam Hussein would constantly remember Yahya later on as well. Both of them were killed standing against the tyrant of their time. Both of them had their heads severed. Both of their heads were presented to the tyrant in a tray. Both of their blood, wherever it spilt, it boiled for many years. Everything in the heavens and the earth mourned Yahya for 40 days, just like everything in the heavens and the earth mourned Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam for 40 days. And according to the narrations, there is a very special place in hell that is reserved for both the killer of Yahya Nabi and the killer of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. So these are the similarities that exist between them. But what are the characteristics that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions for Yahya alayhi salam and Zakaria? And actually in this ayah also the mother of Hazrat Yahya as well. In Surah Al-Anbiya, verse 90, Allah lists 3 characteristics of these individuals. It says, كَانُوا يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ. They were individuals who would run towards doing good. And we're not going to be able to go through all of these because I need to end early to allow the committee to make a few announcements as well. But the first is that they would run towards doing good. وَيَدْعُونَنَا رَغَبًا وَرَاحَبًا. And they would call out to us in awe and yearning, this desire, this ache for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَانُوا لَنَا خَاشِعِينَ. And they were those who were humble before us. So 3 characteristics that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions for them. The first being that they would run towards khair, run to do good. Whenever there was an opportunity to do good, to be the first. Not that, yeah, I'll join. No, to run ahead of everyone else in order to do good. And this khair, Alawat wa Tawain al-Mizan, when he discusses this, he says, this khair, where it says, Yusari'una fil khairat, this khair means all good, everything good. You know, it's not just your salah and your worship, but it's your helping of others, your feeding of others, all of these things. You know, it's part of that khair. Not just your prayers, not just Quran, but all of the other things that you do. And helping others is one of those things that's massively overlooked when we talk about khair. Or we know about it, but we don't actually act upon it. Like to try and make someone else's life easier. We always try and use someone else to make my own life easier, but I never use myself to make someone else's life easier. As displayed by our example of the shoes in the rack. I will want to take my shoes off by the door, not in the rack, because I have to walk a lot further. So I'll take them off by the door, but make someone else's life difficult. Because they now have to step over my shoes, do dhulm on someone else. So we never really think about helping other people. We're always thinking about what is the benefit to me. But in reality, helping others, being one that facilitates the ease of the life of others, is one of the greatest acts of khair that a person can do. One day a beggar comes into the masjid and he sees Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is praying. So he leaves him and he sees Imam al-Hassan is free. So he goes to Imam al-Hassan, says, can you please help me? I'm poor. So Imam al-Hassan gives him some money. He says, let me ask you, why didn't you go to my brother Hussein? He says, Ibn Rasulullah, Imam al-Hussein was praying. He says, even if you'd asked him in prayer, he would have broke his prayer and given you. Because why? Helping someone is greater than sitting for 1 month in i'tikaf. Helping another believer is greater than sitting a whole month in i'tikaf. Imam is reciting mustahab salah. It says that helping a believer in a difficult situation has more thawab, or has thawab equivalent to 1 week of doing tawaf around the Kaaba. Or it is equivalent to or is greater than 2,000 rak'ah of mustahab salah. Just by helping someone. The one who helps others has a huge status. We've become so selfish in our lives that I don't want to make anyone else's life easier. I always look at how I can make my own life easier. I never want to get up and give my seat to someone else because that's my seat. And if I give my seat to someone, then where am I going to sit? I don't ever think, oh, you know what, this person is older. This person is more in need. I'll move. No, I'll stay. I'll lower my gaze. I won't look at the person, but I won't give up that thing that is more dear to me. And the Holy Quran says you will never achieve birr, you'll never achieve success, you'll never achieve righteousness until you give from that which you love the most. And what is the thing that we love the most? And these are those techniques of, where you learn to detach yourself from the dunya. Everyone's talking, we're not talking about tark dunya. We're not talking about leaving the dunya. We're talking about detaching from the dunya. Think about what is the thing that you love the most. That one thing, if you lost it, you'd search back and forth for it. 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be money. Because that is the ultimate corrupter. I was saying yesterday in the Q&A, when the first coin was minted, Shaitan picked it up. He kissed it. He said, the best friend that I could have, the best companion I could have in the corruption of mankind. Because when these two things that we do within our lives, like imagine this, and I'm sure I've given this example here, maybe 10 years ago, or longer. You're walking around and you put your hand in your pocket and you realize that you had £5 in there, but now the £5 isn't there. And you start thinking, where did that £5 go? So you walk back a little bit. So, no, I didn't drop it there. And then you backtrack, I had it here, I felt it in my pocket there. So you go to your car. Maybe it slipped out of my pocket. Start moving the seats back and forward, lowering them, underneath them, over them. Can't find my £5 note. Look under the car, around the car. Maybe you'll ring home, depending how dear the £5 was. Did I drop £5 at the house? I had £5 in my pocket. All of this that I'm doing, all of this effort to figure out where my £5 went, have I ever put that much effort into figuring out why I didn't wake up for Fajr this morning? If I put more effort in the pursuit of the £5 that I've lost, then that's hubb al-dunya. That's hubb al-dunya. I never analyze why I miss Salat al-Fajr and think to myself, you know what? Maybe it was something that I ate. Maybe it was the company. Maybe it was the joke that I made. Maybe it was the feeling that I had. These are all reasons why one would be deprived of Salat al-Fajr. Maybe it's because I just stayed up too late. But I never look at any of this. But for the £5 note, I will go back and forth from my car 10 times, 7 times, back and forth doing sa'i from my car to where I'm going. Where's my £5? Where's my £5? My kid drops £5. I'll make sure I tell him, that £5, you know how hard it is to earn £5? You need to be more careful. You're so irresponsible. My kid misses Fajr. I don't care. And this is how we instill hubb al-dunya into the next generation. I don't care they missed that salah, but they dropped £5. You will never achieve righteousness until you give from that which you love. With the brothers, we've had a couple of charities that have come in these ayyam, and they've come and they've spoken. This is a good way of giving, that rushing towards khair. But even better than just giving is another way. The person who doesn't have enough to give, he doesn't have anything to give. Someone comes and asks you, look, I need some money for something. I don't have enough to give the person. But what do? I say, look, I can't help you out. but I know someone who can. Let me ring them and they'll give it to you based upon. So I'm putting my own izzah, my own honor on the line for someone else. This, الدال على الخير كفاعله. So the one who does this is as if he has given the money himself. He's given the same amount of the... Someone's got Sunni Azan installed. It's too early. So the one who does this, you know, his reward is greater. His reward is greater. Because he's put his own honor on the line. He's put his honor on the line to be able to help this person. You know, someone comes to Imam al-Hadi Zahira in Samarra. He goes, Imam, I've come from Kufa. And I've got this debt, I really need your help. Imam says, look, I don't have anything with me. I don't have any money. We're here in Samarra, it's Zahiran that the Imam has been brought there fresh. So he's like, look, I haven't got anything. I don't know what I can do to help you. He says, Imam, please, I'm in this situation. Imam says, look, I tell you what you do. Do you give me your debt? He says, what do you mean? He says, make the niyyah and I accept your debt. Will you allow me to take your debt on my own shoulders? He says, Ya Rasulullah, I can't. Imam says, look, I'm telling you what to do. Don't question me. He says, yes. He says, so you agree to give me your debt? He says, yes. So Imam says, okay, good. Now that I have your debt, and I'm the one that is in, and now I'm indebted to you. Tomorrow, in the middle of the masjid, when I'm sitting there, I want you to come and grab me by my collar and say, give me my money. And I want you to make it look like you really need this money. So grab me and shake me and ask me for my money. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I can't do this. Mom says, look, I told you to do something. He says, yes. So the next day he's sitting there. This man runs in. You haven't given me my money. I need my money. He grabs the Imam by the collar. The guards that are there looking, they're like, what's going on with Tawakkil's guards? So they rush back to the castle. They say to Tawakkil, say, listen, that cousin of yours that you brought from Medina, and with all this, he's getting humiliated in the masjid. You know, you need to do something about this. And Mutawakkil's like, okay, no problem. Here, however much it was, however, you know, he goes, go and give this to Imam al-Hadi. Imam al-Hadi receives the money, he goes, here you go. There's your money. 2 jobs were done. One took away from the oppressor the usurped rights that he had, or the usurped money that he had, and number 2, fulfilled the rights of a person. The one who puts their own honor on the line to help another person, that person has a greater status than the one that just gives, that has it to give. You help someone get married, say, look, I'll give the reference. I know this family, I know you, I'll put my honor on the line. And it doesn't matter how many people are involved in the chain either. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is limitless. His thawab is limitless. It says even if there are 80 people involved in one act of khair, all of them will get equal thawab. If all 80 of them, so we say, okay, you know what, we need £1,000 to donate to something. And so everyone says, you know what, I'll put in £1, I'll put in £2. Limitless. However many people add to that act of khair, all of them will be rewarded for it, as if they had done the whole thing themselves. So running towards khair, inviting people, feeding people. You know, this is another thing. It's been playing in my mind for a while. One of the du'as that we have for the daily du'as of the holy month of Ramadan, one part of it, we're asking Allah, oh Allah, give me tawfiq wa it'am al-ta'am. Give me the tawfiq to be able to feed people. To be able to feed people. And this is different. You know, you guys here, Birmingham, a very specific culture that you've created where all your iftar happens in the masjid. But actually, if you look at it, there is more barakah for you to do iftar in your home. This is not to say iftar in the masjid is wrong and you shouldn't do it. But there is a specific, remember I've been saying there are specific rizq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that is distributed in this month. To invite people to your home and feed them iftar is greater than to invite them to the masjid and feed. In terms of what barakah will be bestowed upon you. If you look at all of our narrations, they all talk about invite people home, feed them at home. And it seems, and we were discussing this a bit earlier amongst brothers, that it seems that over the years this has become a culture that now the new generation don't understand this. The elders understand this, but the new generation don't understand the benefits of inviting people to your home and feeding them in your home. Especially iftar. Especially iftar. There is a great barakah that is hidden in it. And so for those parents that have young children, encourage your children to call their Shia friends home for iftar. Hold an iftar at your house for your children and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, their friends that come, and let them do iftar together. Pray salah together, do dua together. There is barakah in it. Don't just leave everything to, okay, whoever's sponsoring it, we'll just go and eat. It's okay, at least my dishes don't get dirty this month. No, there is barakah in your dishes getting dirty. Believe me. There's something that to ponder over. Invite people to your home. Feed people in your home. This is an act of khair. This is an act of khair that will take you towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, the masjid, the Husayniyah is good. But your own home requires barakah. When a guest enters your home, they bring the barakah of Allah with them on their backs. And when they leave, they take all the bala from your home. So getting to, once again, we need to revive this within ourselves. This culture of inviting, of feeding. By the way, this isn't me saying you need to invite me. I'm just saying in the general, just in case anyone thinks, oh, look at it, he's fishing for an invite. Don't worry about it. I'm saying generally, as a whole, make this a culture for yourselves. Bringing the khair into your homes. And teach your children, because 10, 20 years down the line, if it carries on like this, then nobody will want any guests at home. Having guests, there is great barakah in that. So doing the Hazrat Zakaria Yahya would run towards doing good actions. يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ. They would run towards it because they knew it was an act of good. And you see in Karbala how they would run towards their death because they knew it was time to give their life for the Imam, and this was an act of khair. Each of them would run, Imam asking for permission constantly, and the Imam would send them away, not now, not now. They would push and they would push. But there was one individual in Karbala that was delayed more than anyone else. And that was Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Every time he would come to the Imam, Imam would say, Abbas, anta sahibu liwa'i, wa anta kabshu katibati. Abbas, you are the commander of my army. How can I let you go, Abbas? Abbas alayhi salam was not just the flag bearer for the army of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Abbas was the hope of the haram of Abi Abdullah. As long as Abbas was there, everything would be okay. Even for Sayyid al-Shuhada himself, him saying, Alan in qasara dha'ri, that now my back has been broken is not anything small. That the hujjah of Allah is saying my back has been broken. Abbas, when Abbas fell, it was as if hope itself fell. For as long as Abbas was there, they knew that there was some level of support that Sayyid al-Shuhada had. That's why when he comes to the body of Abbas, Imam al-Hussein stands at the body. When he went to Ali Akbar, he fell to the ground, he held the body of Ali. When he went to the body of Qasim, he went down, he held the body of Qasim in his hands. But when he comes to the body of Abbas, Imam al-Hussein doesn't, at times, some of the narration says Hussein didn't even dismount from his horse. You know why? Because when he went to the body of Ali Akbar, he knew Abbas was still there. When he went to the body of Qasim, he knew his Abbas was still there. But now when he comes to his Abbas, he sees that Abbas is lying there. Who will be the defender of Zainab? وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. Pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Those who are in debt, clear their debts. Oh Allah, keep safe the Shia of Ali Muhammad around the world. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time and allow us to be amongst his true mu'tadilin, his true waiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any of the du'as that you brothers and sisters have brought. Please recite 3 of your loudest salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
मुझे सिर्फ आपके 1-2 मिनट चाहिए, फिर वासिफ शाह साहब मौजूद हैं, वो आपको पाकिस्तान फ्लड अपील के जो की थी उसका अपडेट करेंगे इंशाल्लाह। एक तो ये रमज़ान की शीट सिर्फ 2 फुल और 1 आधी जो न्याज की स्पॉन्सर है वो रहती है। प्लीज़ इसको आज कोशिश करें कि अगर कंप्लीट हो जाए। दूसरा ये है कि जैसे मैंने वो रेफर के लिए कहा था, आगा साहब ने उसमें बहुत क्लियर कहा कि आप इसको जीतने के लिए नहीं, सिर्फ ये एक चैरिटी है जिसकी मदद के लिए आप वो टिकट बाय कर रहे हैं। और उसमें ये है कि ये सेट है, ये फर्स्ट लकी विनर को मिलेगा। उसके बाद ये चेन है, ये सेकंड है, और ये चीजें तो है मादी, नायाब चीजें ये है हजरत अली अलैहिस्सलाम के हरम बायर की और जरी की। ये 3 सेट है, 5 आइटम टोटल होंगे, फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड और 3 सेट ये होंगे इंशाल्लाह। 2 का सेट होगा एक और 3 सेट इंशाल्लाह ये होंगे। तो इसके लिए 10 पाउंड टिकट है प्लीज। और जो भी प्रोसीड इसका होगा 100% गो टू द सीरियन अपील जो मैंने ऑलरेडी की हुई है, जिसपे ऑलमोस्ट 12,000 पाउंड इकट्ठा हो चुका है। वो एक नंबर प्लेट मैंने दी थी पहले आपको, या ज़हरा, उसका वो 1600 पाउंड इंशाल्लाह वो आ चुका है। अब मैं एक और नंबर प्लेट आपको देने वाला हूँ। मलंग, मौला अली के मलंग तो सभी हैं, वो मैं देखूंगा अभी नहीं, पहले 1-2 हफ्ते के बाद इंशाल्लाह वो मलंग की यहाँ पे वो लग जाएगी। और फिर मैं देखता हूँ कि वो मलंग जो है वो उसमें मेरी मदद भी करे, इस अदारे की मदद भी करे, और वो सीरिया के जो आपके मुंतज़िर हैं उनकी भी मदद करे। दुरूद और मोहम्मद वाले बैत मोहम्मद। अब मैं दरख्वास्त करता हूँ हमारे ट्रस्टी जो इस प्रोजेक्ट के वहाँ पे चीफ ऑर्गेनाइजर वहाँ के पाकिस्तान के, वो आपको अपडेट देते हैं। दुरूद और मोहम्मद वाले बैत मोहम्मद। इनका नाम आप सभी जानते हैं, मैं इसलिए ले रहा हूं कि इतना बड़ा टास्क मुझ जैसा छोटे दिल का बंदा नहीं कर सकता जो इस सैयद ने किया। इनके लिए एक बुलंद सलवात।
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू। सलावत। Ramazan Mubarak to you all, and I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us all and grants us all our du'as and hajjat. Just a quick update, as time is quite short, on the ongoing work in Pakistan with the flood affectees. As part of our relief work, we've so far served cooked food to approximately 8,000 people, distributed 350 tents to the most needy, distributed 800 quilts, 150 blankets, 650 mosquito nets across the 4 provinces. Our main concentration was on containment of disease. So we were able to set up 40 medical camps over the 4 provinces, serving almost 16,000 patients, and they were all dispensed with free medication. We assisted children to go back to school by providing them books, uniforms, shoes, backpacks, distributed 400 food parcels to the most needy, mainly general household groceries. Alongside all this, we also began our rehabilitation program. Alhamdulillah, with your du'as and support, we have been able to complete 30 homes and another 10 are under construction at this moment. These are solid build homes, solid brick build. We have also completed 3 mosques and another further 2 are under construction. Just in the last month, we have distributed over 4 tons of flour amongst almost 400 most needy families, supported with a wheelchair for a polio patient, supported some students with their fees, some elderly patients with their hospital treatment, had a boundary wall and a gate constructed for a masjid and Imam Larga. But one of the most rewarding and challenging tasks we have taken on is the removal of standing floodwaters, 3 to 5 feet deep in an area approximately 300 to 350 acres. This land belongs to the local villages. They already lost their standing crop of sugarcane during the floods, and then their second rotation of wheat because floodwater was still standing. Their next rotation now is cotton, which needs to be sold in the next 2 to 3 months, and is their main source of revenue, almost 60% of their annual income. We took it on ourselves to remove this water by diverting it into a desert area, by digging trenches, channels, behind commercial pumps, whatever was available in the local sort of area. And alhamdulillah, the water has started receding. Almost 1,500 litres of fuel will be used. And inshallah, we will be able to give them back harvestable land within the next 10 to 15 days, inshallah. Now all this has only been possible with the support of you, the Mu'mineen of Hidayah Mali Faisal. And I stand here proud to be part of this community. I'd like to thank you all on behalf of the affectees of Pakistan. They all send their du'as, their love, and I'd like to thank the management for giving me the support and encouragement and entrusting me to take on this duty. Once again, we pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts all our good deeds and we are able to carry on with this good work. I will be at the back of the mosque if anybody wishes to have any further questions, any details. I'm more than happy to assist. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.